Don't let us wait after some years to check your life and we are asking what happened. Because it seems like you didn't really move. I've been born again for 35 years. By October, it will be 35 years, October 8th. Now listen. Which means for 35 years, I have seen people for over 3 decades serving the Lord in a certain definition, and I have seen where they are after 35 years, and I can plot my graph. See, my name is Temple, so which means I was born in church, okay? I am not 35 years old, but I have been born again for 35 years. I have seen people in the house of God under various characters and attitudes toward God's work. And I have seen many of them, after several years, their lives are not impressive. And it made me want to question. In fact, there was a time I was talking to somebody very close to me, and I said, my father has been preaching to these people. Why are their lives still like this? Is there a problem with the message? It got to a point, he told me, he said, I am not lucky. I have people, and he started describing some people around him to me. He said, these people, this was September 2023. He told me, he said, these people around me, he said, many of them are dull, stupid, illiterate. Even those who are literate, they are not intelligent. So I said, sir, don't be discouraged. I am also around you. I am not dull. I'm not stupid. I am not in want of intelligence. He said, that's you. He said, let's talk about others. He said, if not, I've written over 40 books. And when the church got burnt, the books got burnt. He said none of them was intelligent enough to tell us to save it in cloud. So the manuscripts got burnt. It was that pain that came out of me that made me to tell him, sir, I am going to stream you on the internet. I will put everything about you on the internet. Because I was hearing his cry from the Spirit. The rest is history today. Which means, when you are hearing the word of God over a period of time, somebody is going to come back to check why your life has not changed. Tell yourself, say, I will be prosperous. Even the preacher is now wondering at those he has been preaching to, why there's no significant difference in their lives. That's why he said he is not lucky. And he tells me, he said, you are very lucky. He told me, he said, your church in Lekki, he said, most of them are medical doctors. He told me, he said, I saw them in the retreats. They are expatriates. They are medical doctors. They are computer wizards. You see, what happened was, I took them early and started discipling them. I started telling them what to do, where to go, how to think. I started telling them that the word of God is the most important thing, that when you are hearing the word of God, hear to do, so that we will not need to repeat it. So that we will not dismiss a service and you are in a queue for the pastor to pray for you or to counsel you. So what about the word of God you just heard? Didn't the word of God take care of the things? Which is exactly how he does it. One day, he traveled in from somewhere. Begin the month is 6 a.m. in the morning. I think they finish it around 8 a.m. After 8 a.m., he started seeing people till 8 p.m. Yet, at that 8 p.m., they had to tell some people to be going home. That is too much. So which means if everybody was to see me, he would have waited till the following day. This is one of the reasons whenever I go there to preach, they say my messages are hard. Yes, because intelligence is hard for the dull. Prosperity is hard for the poor. So when the word of God is becoming too hard for you to follow, then there's a problem. The end result is what you are not seeing, that it won't be good. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God. Excuse me. Don't let anybody read this verse to you. If once anybody has to read to you, not to forget the Lord your God, or not to forget his commandments, his judgments, his statutes, that you shouldn't forget church service, that you shouldn't forget prayer. You see, let me just tell you the truth. Once we are having to remind you of that, it means you will not be prosperous. In a few years' time, we will confirm. One of the reasons Since 1996, I started playing drum set in the church in 96 in indoor sports hall. And I'll play the drums and that was the only thing we had. We didn't have any other thing when the church started in 96. So the terrace, people were looking at me on the terrace, playing the drums, this small boy. So when I finished, I moved to the keyboard. When the church bought the keyboard, the Casio, I can't remember how they rate it now. Played on the Casio for some while, and then started learning the bass guitar. So all my life, since 96, I have always been around the altar, looking at the Word of God. All those I have known since 96 till now, when they see me, they are celebrating me, sir, well done. Which means that my life constantly improved. Which means my life is a clear departure from where it was 30 years ago. But that is because I was always in the house of God. I read to you Psalm 92 not too long ago. Give us again from verse 12. Psalm 92. Everybody look at this. It says, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish. Flourish. Planted. Flourish. Not on and off.